Amaka and her best friend, Tolu, were on their way to a nearby company to submit their job applications. The sun was high, its heat burning through the dusty roads of the small town of Yoba. Amaka carried her brown envelope tightly, hopeful about what the future held. On their way, they noticed an elderly woman struggling under the weight of a large bundle of firewood. She was bent over, her thin frame shaking as she took each step slowly. She looked up at them and said, "Please, my daughters, help me carry this firewood to my house. It's not far, and I am very tired." Tolu frowned and muttered, "Why is this old woman disturbing us? We are not here to carry firewood, we have more important things to do." Amaka hesitated. She glanced at the old woman, whose eyes were filled with a quiet plea. "Tolu," she said, "let's just help her. It won't take long." Tolu scoffed. "Amaka, we will be late for the company. Why should we waste our time?" She turned and began walking away. Amaka, feeling torn, decided to help the old woman. "Ma, let me help you," she said gently. She dropped her envelope on the ground and lifted the heavy firewood onto her head. "Thank you, my child," the old woman said softly. "May God bless you." The journey to the woman's house was longer than Amaka had expected. The house was a simple mud hut with a thatched roof, surrounded by a small garden of vegetables. Amaka gently placed the firewood down and wiped the sweat from her face. "Thank you, my dear," the old woman said with a smile. "Please, come inside and rest." Amaka hesitated but agreed, wanting to drink some water before heading back to Tolu. Inside, the house looked modest, but there was a strange sense of wealth hidden beneath the simplicity. The furniture was old but well kept, and there were several framed photographs on the walls. The old woman disappeared into another room and returned with a small envelope. "Take this, my daughter. It's just a little token of appreciation for your kindness." Amaka shook her head. "No, Ma, I can't take this. I helped you because it's the right thing to do." The old woman smiled. "Please, take it. You don't know what you've done for me today." Reluctantly, Amaka accepted the envelope and thanked her. As she left the house and met Tolu, who was impatiently waiting down the road, she tucked the envelope into her bag without opening it. "You finally came back," Tolu snapped. "Do you think that firewood will give you a job? Let's go." The rest of the day went by quickly, and the two friends submitted their applications. Later that evening, Amaka decided to open the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "You showed kindness when others wouldn't. Come and see me tomorrow for an opportunity that will change your life. Signed, Chief, Mrs. Lola Ade." Beneath the note was a business card with an address in a wealthy neighborhood. Amaka's hands trembled as she read it. "Who is Chief Lola Ade?" Tolu asked, looking over Amaka's shoulder. "She's one of the richest women in this country," Amaka exclaimed. The next day, Amaka dressed carefully and went to the address. The mansion she arrived at was grand, with tall gates and beautiful gardens. A guard escorted her inside, and she was welcomed by Chief Lola herself. The old woman looked very different from the one she had helped. She was dressed elegantly, her jewelry sparkling in the sunlight. "Welcome, my dear," she said warmly. "Because of your kindness yesterday, I want to give you a job in my company. People like you, who have a good heart, are hard to find." Amaka couldn't believe her ears. "Thank you so much, Ma," she said, tears filling her eyes. Months later, Amaka's life had changed completely. She worked as a personal assistant to Chief Lola, earning a good salary and gaining valuable experience. She often thought about that day when she chose kindness over convenience, a decision that brought her unexpected blessings. As for Tolu, she could only watch in regret as her friend's life transformed. It was a lesson for her and anyone who heard the story. Kindness always finds a way to reward those who practice it. Tolu watched Amaka's transformation with a mixture of admiration and envy. At first, she couldn't believe that something as simple as helping an old woman could open doors to such a great opportunity. She often replayed that moment in her mind, regretting her impatience and lack of compassion. One day, Tolu decided to visit Amaka at her new workplace. When she arrived at Chief Lola's company, she was amazed by the grandeur of the building. Amaka welcomed her warmly, showing no sign of pride despite her new position. "Tolu, I've missed you," Amaka said, giving her a hug. "How have you been?" "I've been managing," Tolu replied, her voice heavy with guilt. "Amaka, I'm sorry for how I acted that day. If I had known, I would have helped too." Amaka smiled gently. "Tolu, life is full of lessons. What happened that day taught me that kindness should never be dependent on what we hope to gain. It's about doing the right thing, even when no one is watching." Tolu nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I've learned my lesson, Amaka. I want to be better." Amaka took her friend's hand. "It's never too late, Tolu. Chief Lola often tells me that people can change their story at any moment if they choose to." Over time, Tolu started volunteering at a local orphanage, helping children with their studies and organizing donations. Her actions gradually transformed her outlook on life. Though she didn't receive immediate rewards like Amaka, the smiles of the children and their gratitude filled her heart in ways she never imagined. As for Amaka, her journey with Chief Lola continued to flourish. She climbed the ranks in the company, becoming one of the most trusted and respected staff members. Her humility and compassion inspired others, and she often shared her story to encourage people to practice kindness. One day, Chief Lola called Amaka into her office. "My dear," she began, "I'm getting old, and I want someone with integrity to take over this company someday. I've been watching you, and I know you're the right person." Amaka was stunned. "Ma, I don't even know what to say. This is such an honor." "Say you continue to lead with the same heart and values that brought you here," Chief Lola said with a smile. Years later, Amaka became the CEO of the company, a position she held with grace and humility. She often returned to the little town where it all began, visiting the old roads that reminded her of the day she chose kindness over convenience. Her story became a source of inspiration to many, a reminder that small acts of kindness can lead to extraordinary opportunities. And through it all, Amaka never forgot her roots or the lesson that changed her life. A good heart is the most valuable treasure anyone can have. As Amaka settled into her role as the CEO, she made it her mission to create programs that empowered young people and rewarded acts of kindness. She launched a foundation in Chief Lola's name, focusing on supporting underprivileged communities, providing scholarships, and encouraging others to pay it forward. Tolu became one of the foundation's most active volunteers. Her experience at the orphanage had sparked a passion for helping others, and she dedicated her time to mentoring young women who faced similar struggles. Amaka and Tolu's friendship grew stronger, bound by their shared vision of making the world a better place. One day, during a foundation event, Amaka stood before a large crowd to share her story. "There was a time when I was just like many of you, uncertain, struggling, and wondering what the future held. But one simple decision changed everything for me. I chose to help someone, not because I expected a reward, but because it was the right thing to do. That act of kindness brought me here today." The audience listened intently, moved by her sincerity. Among them was a young boy named Ben, who had been helping his mother sell vegetables at the market. Inspired by Amaka's story, he decided to start helping others in his small community. Years later, Ben's life changed in unexpected ways, much like Amaka's. He often credited her story as the spark that ignited his desire to live a meaningful life. Amaka's legacy continued to grow, not just through her foundation but in the lives she touched. Chief Lola, who now spent her days in quiet retirement, often smiled when she heard news of Amaka's work. "I knew she was special," she would say proudly. One afternoon, as Amaka sat in her office reflecting on how far she had come, she received a surprise visitor. It was the elderly woman, Chief Lola, accompanied by Tolu. "More," Amaka said, rising to embrace her mentor. "This is such a wonderful surprise." Chief Lola held Amaka's hands and said, "You have done more than I ever imagined. I am so proud of you, my daughter." Tolu, standing nearby, added with a smile, "You inspire all of us, Amaka. You've shown us what it means to lead with kindness." As they shared laughter and memories, Amaka realized that her journey was never just about her. It was about the ripple effect of one act of kindness, spreading far beyond what she could have ever imagined. And so, Amaka continued to lead with humility and a heart full of gratitude, proving that the smallest actions can indeed change the world. As the years went by, Amaka's name became synonymous with hope and compassion. Her foundation expanded across Nigeria, reaching villages, towns, and cities. Young people who had once struggled to find their footing were now thriving under the mentorship program she created. The ripple effect of her kindness inspired a new generation of leaders, each determined to make a difference. One day, during a foundation ceremony in a remote village, Amaka met a young girl named Joy. Joy, with her tattered dress and bright, hopeful eyes, reminded Amaka of herself in her earlier years, full of dreams but weighed down by circumstances. Joy had walked for hours just to attend the event after hearing stories about Amaka's life. "Ma," Joy said, shyly approaching Amaka after the event, "I want to be like you one day. How do I start?" Amaka knelt to her level, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You start by believing in yourself and never underestimating the power of kindness, no matter how small. Look around you, Joy. There's always someone who needs a helping hand. Start there." Encouraged by Amaka's words, Joy began helping people in her village, whether it was fetching water for the elderly or teaching younger children how to read. Her actions didn't go unnoticed. When the foundation heard of her selflessness, Joy received a scholarship to attend one of the best schools in the state, funded by Amaka's foundation. Meanwhile, Amaka's relationship with Tolu remained steadfast. Tolu had grown into a strong advocate for women's empowerment, using her voice to encourage others to embrace compassion and second chances. Together, Amaka and Tolu became a formidable duo, leading campaigns and organizing workshops across the nation. On the 10th anniversary of the foundation, Amaka invited Chief Lola to be the guest of honor. Though much older now, Chief Lola arrived with the same grace and pride she always carried. During her speech, Chief Lola said, "Many years ago, I met a young lady who had nothing but a good heart. That day, she helped me carry firewood without knowing who I was. Today, she has carried the dreams of so many others and turned them into reality. Amaka, you are proof that one act of kindness can change the world." The audience erupted into applause as Amaka stood to hug Chief Lola. Tears filled her eyes as she looked out at the crowd, many of whom had been directly impacted by her foundation's work. That night, as Amaka sat alone reflecting on her journey, she whispered a silent prayer of gratitude. She thought of how a single act of kindness, helping a struggling old woman, had opened doors she never imagined. From that day forward, Amaka made it her mission to remind everyone she met that no act of kindness is ever too small. And just as Chief Lola had passed the torch to her, Amaka began mentoring others, ensuring that the light of compassion and selflessness would continue to shine for generations to come. And so, our story became a timeless tale, a reminder that the simplest gestures can lead to the most extraordinary outcomes. Do you think kindness always brings unexpected rewards? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories. See you in the next video.